as you can see, I have my audience here. We may have some slight interruptions, but hello. I'm here to present on interior design and the heart of God. So we all love before and afters, whether it's a full home renovation or whether it's a 60-minute story where you see someone overcome their fears. We love a transformation. Interior design is all about a transformation, all about making something out of nothing, and all about making things beautiful. Many people think that this profession is superficial, but in fact, I believe it is near to the heart of God and has specific purposes for our day and our age to glorify Him. Through philanthropy and through other endeavors, not only do interior designers beautify our world, inspire us, but they also can do good in their communities. Today, I endeavor to inform you about the ways that interior design helps others and also betters communities. So, my story, I grew up as the daughter of an interior designer. She owns the firm we're standing in right now, and it's a family business, as you can tell. So I grew up watching her design for, my almost 30 years, and now almost 40 years she's been designing. And in about 2007, my father, who was a surgeon, started doing medical mission trips over to Tanzania. And the local population was like really excited that he was there. He started making, started thinking about more permanent things he could do. And when he asked my mom to go over, she was like, what can I do? Design a chair for them? Feeling like her gifts were useless. But it turned out that wasn't the case at all. First, she started a lunch fund from connections within the interior design world and community. Just making connections and getting people to help because it's a very integrated community and work community. And then also later, my parents started an orphanage called the Valentine Project, which is still in operation today, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But that's kind of my story within this greater narrative. So first of all, what is interior design? One quote that I thought was very helpful comes from a House Beautiful article that I found from Carla Jung. An interior designer has a large impact on the interiors of a home, including but not limited to the interior millwork, layout, flow, and most importantly, elements that contribute to creating an atmosphere. I love that part where it's about creating an atmosphere because interiors actually can very much affect our mood and how we feel. There's actually a book called Drunk Tank Pink that talks about how they started painting holding cells for people who were very drunk pink because it started to calm them. You don't want to sleep in a red room, but you do want to eat and have your restaurants in a red room because you're going to eat more in a red room, but you're going to also be more heightened in awareness. So interiors can really make a difference, and also just in different aesthetics. Interior designers do everything inside the house, but can also do porches. They don't do architecture. So architects do the frame of the house. Think of that like the actual design of the house, and then the builders build the house. Contractors build the house, and builders work with architects and designers. Designers do like the wood flooring that you pick out, the paints that you pick out. They're called finishes, tile, etc. Everything down to the last book on the coffee table. That's what interior designers do. And that leads me to my next point, that interior design is a technical profession. It's not just an aesthetic profession. So, for example, you can see that the CIDQ website, which gives designers their NCIDQ accreditation, is a great resource because it outlines which states have a regulated term for interior designer. Now, what does that mean? Not everyone can just call themselves an interior designer in every state. In South Carolina, where I live, you can call yourself an interior designer without any discrimination. But in North Carolina, you have to have certain requirements to be an interior designer, whether that's a degree or certain experience within the field, and also certain test specifications. So that's a great way to kind of parse out what is a profession. But then everywhere you can call yourself a decorator if you simply decorate. Interior designers have to pay attention to scale, measurements, ADA requirements. So there's so much more, especially with commercial projects. You need to understand how to make a room work for your client and for the specific project. And that's what's so important about interior designers. Have you ever brought something home from Home Goods and it fits in the space but it doesn't fit in the space? That's when we're talking about scale, the visual lines that make up a room. And so interior designers are all about that, and that's what makes it very technical. So I wanted to show how some rooms designed by an interior designer can look When you really think about it, we're all affected by interior designers. When you walk into your favorite restaurant, you get that certain feeling. Much of that has to do with the interior design of the space. So it evokes that feeling. You can think of how all of us are affected by interior designers. Maybe you love Disney World. Well, designers worked on Disney World. We are all affected by interior designers. There's some more interiors. Okay, so beauty, charity, and the heart of God. So in the Old Testament, God anointed Bezalel and Oholiab to outfit all of the interiors, the craftsmanship, the materials, the artistry in the tabernacle. So therefore, God cares very much about interior design, and he cares deeply about what interior design looks like in his house. God cares deeply about it, about aesthetics. Also, when we look at the Good Samaritan, I believe interior design increases hospitality. The Good Samaritan furnishes and shelters the man on the side of the road. Here, do you want mommy and daddy? One moment, please. Okay, so there's a few other charities besides the Valentine Project, which I mentioned earlier. Designers for Dignity actually connects charities to interior designers to help them make interiors for nonprofit organizations. And so what this means is that these interior designers get to make these beautiful spaces that actually do lift the mood of whoever is being served in those organizations. If it's a youth club for after school for underprivileged children, they have a dignified space that doesn't feel randomly put together. Savvy by Design, it creates is a charity that creates interiors for kids with medical issues and for their parents, and redoes their spaces so that it doesn't feel so clinical. And my last visual aid, as a company, we recently designed and put together some interiors, some dorm rooms for the Valentine Project with an architect who's over in Tanzania, over here. And here's our director of operations at the Valentine Project. They're handing over the key. This is kind of a ceremonial picture, but showing that we can directly use our skills to impact underserved and underprivileged communities where there's, for example, a rampant orphan crisis in Tanzania. So, as with any profession, interior designers can use their funds and advocacy to aid in certain philanthropic efforts. But even within the profession itself, interior designers glorify God by creating spaces that inspire and uplift those who occupy them. Are you looking for a profession that inspires others, that can help shape the spaces in which the world lives? Then look into interior design, where you can not only shelter but inspire others, including the least of these.
Period.